You're listening to the Fan2Fan Podcast, and on this episode, we're sharing a bit of a tribute to Paul Reuben, the actor, the comedian, the icon that brought us Pee Wee Herman. Mr. Reuben's passed away recently, and as all the fans mourn and share their love for the character he created, for the memories that he gave to us on the Fan2Fan Podcast, some episodes ago, fellow co-host Pete Charbonneau and I were joined by Fan Allen, Fan2Fan All-Star, and we talked about our ideal Saturday morning cartoons. And as we were talking about all these shows that made up our childhood, we brought up Pee-wee's Playhouse. So we just wanted to reshare 5 minutes where we talked about Pee-wee, the impact he had in our attempt to celebrate Paul Reuben, a.k.a. Pee Wee Herman, and the entertainment, the memories, the gift he left behind. And with the outpouring we've seen from fellow fans, the not-so-secret word of the day is definitely...
Today's secret word is...
Thanks.
You all know what to do for the rest of the day. When anyone says the secret word, scream real loud. Okay?
Welcome to the Fan2Fan Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Bernie Gonzalez, and with me today, Pete Charbonneau, fellow host, fellow Saturday morning cartoon lover. How's it going, Pete?
Doing great, Bernie. I prefer enthusiasts, but I mean, it's appropriate, and I'm very excited. Can't wait again. We are so close, hitting the final stretch before our parents kick us out of the house for the day.
Another pivotal ingredient in our podcast stew is Alan. Alan, thanks for returning to the Fan2Fan Podcast.
Anytime. I'm looking forward to finishing up our final block here, and then the three of us heading outside to play some Manhunt.
Oh.
There we go. So a lot of the cartoons that we grew up that were on our honorable mentions episode, so you'll have to check that out, were shows like Transformers, G.I. Joe, Thundercats, Silverhawks, Mask, He-Man. Those are the shows we grew up with. Some of those wound up on our list. And when I say our list, I'm talking about what was our assignment for these episodes, to create an ideal Saturday morning lineup. So the three of us would get up every Saturday morning, get a bowl of cereal, get to the TV first, usually before the crack of dawn, and just start getting ready to just spend our entire Saturday morning from about 5 till noon watching all of these amazing cartoons. So we decided to take it upon ourselves to give ourselves a podcast homework assignment to make the best Saturday morning lineup for each of us. And we went with the assignment that from 7 to noon, every 30 minutes, we were putting in a slot for either a cartoon or live action show that was, special to us, something that meant something to us when we were growing up.
Yep, we have reached the end of Saturday morning.
The last slot, the right before noon, before lunch, before getting kicked out of the house. So I was going to go with something that where I was thinking about ending where I started. Spectre Man was ultimately my 7 a.m. pick. And I was thinking of going with Power Rangers at the end, because it was a show that, again, with a younger brother, who was still more in the buying toys phase. And I was still in that a little bit. I was already junior high, and I'm like, all right, well, there's girls and there's video games, and, there's just other things that are starting to garner my interest. And I'm like, yeah, I don't really need a Megazord, but I'll watch this show because it's something kind of cool, and the action was fun and it was interesting. But I didn't go the route of Power Rangers. I didn't go the route of The Tick, Alan. That was something that a show that we both loved just because of its Comedy Central sense of humor, especially for a cartoon show, but still had
Zany.
all the, it was zany and still had all the superhero stuff that we loved, that we saw in stuff like Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends. But the show that I went with, just because it was always a fun show to watch on Saturday mornings, it was earlier on for me, but I'm going to put it on at the very end, and it's Pee-wee's Playhouse.
Pull yourself up a chair. Let the fun begin. It's time to let down your hair. TV short and tight. Those friends have been invited. The wacky TV Playhouse. There's a crazy rhythm coming from Puppet Land. What's that? Dirty to a cool cat, Chicky Baby, or the Puppet Band. Yeah! You got a couple of talking pets, and the genie who grants a wish. At TV Playhouse.
There's just something about Pee-wee's Playhouse that always just left me feeling good. And talk about zany. I mean, that show was zany, and Paul Reuben's and his childlike humor. It's quirky, and watching it now, it's maybe a little weird, and at times maybe a lot weird and a little bizarre. Uncomfortable. Yeah,
is the word that's coming to mind. Bizarre.
But I don't know if it's any different than like psychedelic visuals and storytelling of all the Sid and Croft. You know, all things being equal, Pee-wee's Playhouse was a little bit tame, but it was fun. A lot of memorable characters. Obviously, there were a lot of actors like Lawrence Fishburne that made their way through that set. But it was always fun to watch in the mornings, and I appreciated the humor, and it was goofy, and it just all meshed well, and it was colorful. That's how I'm going to end my my lineup 11:30 to noon, because after this, I'm watching wrestling, I'm watching Glow, I'm watching WWF. So before that, I'm going to go a little lighthearted with Pee-wee's.
I was too old to appreciate Pee-wee's Playhouse, but I always found it wild that the whole idea started out as like an adult comedy show. Pretty sure it won some Emmy Awards. It was like very highly regarded. The fact that what it began as and then what it became, this like children's television show, is just it's mind blowing, incredible at the same time.
Yeah, Pee-wee's Playhouse, always on. My brother and sister absolutely loved it. I thought it was cool. I could tell even back then that we were watching something that was like weirder than shit, but like it was entertaining. You know, when your co-star is a chair called Cherry, he was so incredibly talented, like on that show, Paul Reuben's, and it crossed my mind to put this on here as a live action show, because it was you can just kind of hear that the theme song. Things get wacky. It's like, yeah, you know, things get wacky. Yeah, it seemed possibly like things might be on mushrooms, but
which is possible. I think when you watch the show now,
you should be on mushrooms when you watch it now.
That's right. That's right.